our adjustment was. Okay, so for our book, it's going to give us this adjusted trial balance for our activities, but you'll have to actually they're going to give you this number in the textbook. We're not going to have that in a ledger or a trial balance to go back and find. They're just going to have to give it to us because they're only giving us these two columns. Okay, so we look at working together 16:1. Okay, this is what you see. All right, this is basically front side and back side of the adjusted trial balance columns. Okay, so this is these two columns given to you for Superior Corporation. Okay, so you have to know that the adjustments happened. These numbers are ready to move straight to the income statement, straight to the balance sheet. So when I start pulling numbers off into the income statement, this is where I'm pulling them from. Okay, now really, well, and let's just note this. Okay, so the adjusted trial balance means that it's after the adjustments. Okay, so you can remember that. Okay, and all of this came, or this is part of the worksheet. Okay, basically, you know, this right here is our asset section. All right, this is our liability section. This is our owner's equity section, right? Or stockholders' equity. Okay, so of course this is going to work off the balance sheet, right? Assets, liabilities, owner's equity. That's the balance sheet. So really, income statement, we'll flip it over, right? Of course, here we start. We just look. Here's our expenses, right? Okay, and then this is working our revenue section. Trying to figure out what our gross profit is. So revenue and expenses. Then we've got federal income tax, but like I said, we just usually want to hold back on that. And then we've got this little extra thing for interest income, and that's where I said that's where this little other income is going to come in. Okay, so our operating expenses, and that's why we've got it labeled that way. These are really operating expenses, right? And then we've got federal income tax and our extra revenue along our extra income as well. Okay, so here, going to the income statement is where I'm pulling the numbers from. All right, so here is the page that we're going to create this income statement on. Okay. Again, the purpose to calculate the net income. We're going to look at revenue, expenses. We're going to look at gross profit. We're going to look at cost of goods. Throughout this, we start with our heading. If you remember, this is a who, what, when, right? So we are Superior Corporation. And this is the income statement. And the when for the year ended. So, reminder, for year ended, for the month ended, for the period ended, whatever, those words have to be there if you are working with net income. Okay, and the current year. All right, so this is a who, what, when. Always remember that. And for this part, right, this is because we're working with net income that we add those words. Okay. All right, so this is, again, a good thing to keep. So there's a lot of different ways to lay out an income statement. This is a 4-column income statement. It just depends on how much detail you want to include, how much detail is beneficial to the users of your income statement, and those kinds of things. So we're actually going to start out with operating revenue. Okay, and of course this is revenue, but we're going to label it as operating revenue. Okay, and in there we're going to start with sales. Okay, so let's looking at sales. We've got 505, 897, 40. Okay, now we're going to have to do some calculations on this, and this is where you're really going to want to keep this sheet kind of as a go-by for this chapter. So because it's hard to really understand until you get really good at this, what columns need to be used when. Okay, so I'm not going to fret over that too much. Basically, you know, you have this is your notes. You'll have it to work with the entire chapter. Okay, so we are going to start with sales in this 3rd column. So 505, 897, 40. Okay, and it's really because we want net sales to be in this final column, and so we're going to use these to kind of calculate some of these final numbers that we really want to emphasize and see. Okay, so the reason we're not going straight to this last column is because we had 2 things that affected sales. That was the discounts and that was the returns and allowances, right? And that's why we use the title net sales, the discounts and the returns and allowances. And we had accounts for those. You worked through some of that when we went through authentic threads. Okay, so this will be less, colon, sales discounts, as well as sales returns and allowances. All right, so those are here. These are contra accounts. So the discount, right? Because see, this is a credit. These are debits. So these are decreasing our sales, because we could never decrease sales directly. We had to have other accounts to do that. So a 13, 18, $55, and then our returns and allowances 3, 1, 5, 3, 2, 6. Okay. So what we're going to do is figure out the total of these 2. Okay, so we'll basically add these 2 together, and that'll give us a total. And that total is 4, 4, 7, 1, 81. Okay. All right, so again, these 2 accounts are those contra accounts. Contra accounts reduce the main account. Okay, so now I've got our sales, and we've got the things that are going to reduce our sales. We're going to add these 2 up. We're going to get this number. Then we're going to subtract these 2. Right? And that's going to give us a new number, which is going to be net sales. Okay, So this minus this is 501, 425, 59. Okay, and that's an important number. Okay, that's going to go out here in this last column. All right, the next section is our cost of merchandise sold. So that's what I was talking about right here. Cost of goods sold, cost of merchandise sold. This is what we're going to look at. And we're going to build this whole thing onto this income statement so that the details can be seen. Okay? All right. So this section will be cost of merchandise sold. And we're going to start off with merchandise inventory, January 1, and then you put, whatever the year is. Okay, so again, beginning inventory, what's that January 1 merchandise inventory balance? If you're looking at a full worksheet, it's going to be the number that's in the trial balance, okay, or the number that's coming straight from the ledger. But for our purpose, our book is actually giving it to us. So in the instructions for working together 16.1, it tells us that it's 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15. Okay, so again, our total final number is going to go back here, so we'll just kind of start working back. So 8, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15. Okay, that's the January 1. Plus the purchases. So all of the purchases we made throughout the entire year. Okay. But we do have some contra accounts to go with that because of discounts and returns and allowances. So we're going to back off another column so that we can do a net purchases eventually. So 203, 881, 01. Okay, and just a reminder, all of the numbers I'm pulling are coming from this adjusted trial balance. Okay, and then here's the discount and returns and allowances that we're fixing to subtract. So less purchase discounts, and purchase returns and allowances. Okay, so we're going to move that back one more so we can do the math to get these two. So 737, 71, and 1196, 01. Okay, again, coming from right here. All right, so again, these are contra. They're reducing the main account. So we're going to add these two up to get us a number. And that number is going to be 1933, 72. So we can subtract these two to get our net purchases. Okay, so now this minus this equals 201, 947, 29. Okay, so now we've gone from beginning inventory plus purchases. Okay, so there's our beginning inventory. Here's our purchases. So we need to add those two up, and that's going to give us our goods available for sale, or what they're going to have us label it as is total cost of merchandise available for sale. So let's see if I can fit this in here. Total cost of merchandise available for sale. See how it would be so much easier just to write